Okay. Hello, can you see this screen?
Yes,
sir.
sir.
So last time we discussed some experimental techniques to detect particles. So I mainly discussed that the experiments detect the track of the charged particles. Okay, so it seems boring because I didn't enter deep into it. I just uh, said the said it from very basic principles. I didn't discuss deeply every detail. Then you will find it interesting. Okay, so long as you leave on the surface, you will not find anything interesting. Okay, but for the purpose of this course, that is enough. That was enough. We will not study any more experimental techniques in this course. Okay, so what we got in last class, this was the last page of last class, that this pion and muon, they are found to decay, and from energy momentum conservation, we concluded that since muon is monoenergetic experimentally, so it must be there must be one particle with muon in the final state, and since electron has energy distribution as observed experimentally, so muon decay must produce at least 3 particles in the final state, at least. Okay, so I wrote the unknown particles as X. So only thing is that X is the general symbol for a neutral particle up to this point. Here. So this is muon and pion decay. We know this experimentally, and there is another decay which is known from very early days, that is well-known beta decay, that radioactive nuclei decays. So beta decay, or this is basically a decay of an radioactive nuclei, or basically in beta decay what happens, and the neutron inside a nucleus decays, and you find that there are protons and electrons come out from the decay of neutron inside the nucleus, and that electron that come out as the decay product, we call it beta particle. And you know, experimentally it is seen that this free neutron, if it decays, a free neutron can also decay. It should not necessarily be inside the nucleus. A free neutron can decay, and it has a lifetime of 900 seconds. Also, if you measure the energy of the electron for a given energy of the neutron, then you will find that this electron is not monoenergetic, but it has an energy distribution. Now, since it has energy distribution, that means the final state cannot be a 2-particle state. There must be something more to the final state, like muon decay here. Okay. Now, so let's call this particle again X. So X is a general symbol for pion decay. Sorry, general symbol for neutral particles. And so actually this was first introduced, this unknown neutral particle is introduced by Pauli in 1929. And he named it as a neutrino, and to save energy momentum conservation principle. Okay, if there is so to satisfy energy momentum conservation with the fact that electron has an energy distribution, so there must be an extra particle here. And also, since neutron has a spin half, proton has a spin half, electron has a spin half, so if there are only 2 particles, so this spin conservation does not hold, because 2 half spins can give you 0 or 1, but here on the initial state, it is only half, so spin will not be conserved, but there must be 1 extra particle at least, which should be at least a half spin or fermion. So that 3 halves can give you 1 half, because 2 halves can give you 0 or 1, and 1 0 and half can give you half, and 1 and half can also give you half or 3 by 2, but half is one possibility here. So spin angular momentum can be conserved with this X. So that theoretically, though we don't experimentally see any track for this particle X initially, because it was a neutral particle, we require this particle in order to satisfy energy momentum conservation as well as spin angular momentum conservation. Is it correct? Yes. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, there is an interesting observation. Sorry. This is an experimental test. This is a very crucial, important experimental test. So, just be open-minded to the word experiment as you are open-minded to the word theory. Otherwise, you feel everything, live with a biased mind. The first thing is, then if you feel something uninteresting, then it is okay. But let the uninteresting, just a minute. Okay. But that your biasness should not cause anything uninteresting. Okay. Now, just what happens? Okay. What is that? Oh, sorry. So the experimental test is that in beta decay, the neutral particle that comes, it is a neutral particle. It has been experimentally proved that this particle is not its own antiparticle, though it is a neutral particle. Okay. So it is a neutral particle, so it doesn't have an electric charge. That means there is something more to it, which so that its antiparticle is different from it. Okay. So how that experimental test is done? Okay. So this is a famous experiment. So sorry. So here, so this should be question 5. So let's assume for the time being, so this analysis goes like this. Now this class and the classes are coming, you will learn, try to follow me that and try to follow how I am analyzing the data. Okay. This is very important for a phenomenologist. See, if X, this particle X, let's assume that the neutral particle X is its own antiparticle. So it is we assume this. Now, if you prove experimentally, we can prove that our assumption is wrong. That will mean that X is not its own antiparticle. X has a different, its antiparticle is different from X. But if we prove that our assumption is true, then X is its own antiparticle. Okay. So we assume that X is its own antiparticle to start with. So X equal to X bar. Now we have studied that if X is, so first thing is we assume that, then we know that from crossing symmetry, if this reaction happens in nature, if we bring X to the other side of this equation and make it its antiparticle, then that reaction will also happen in nature. Clear? So if I bring X in this side and make it X bar, then this X bar plus N going to N plus P should also be seen in nature. Okay. Now we have assumed that X and X bar are same. X is its own antiparticle. That means
the P plus E minus.
Sorry, thank you. P plus E minus, sorry. Now, since we have assumed that X bar is equal to X, that means this reaction will also happen in nature. So crossing symmetry and our assumption that X is its own antiparticle demands that this reaction should happen in nature if this reaction happens. And we know that this reaction, beta decay, happens in nature. So this reaction should also happen in nature if X is its own antiparticle. Clear? Clear, everybody? Just, okay. Now, okay. Now, what should we do? In the laboratory, say there is a neutron is decaying and you know that this particle X is produced. Okay. You are not seeing this particle, but you design your atmosphere or ambience, laboratory ambience, in such a way that when this N is decaying and these particles are produced, and you know that this hypothetical particle should be produced, though you can't see it. So in the atmosphere of this decaying neutron, plus there are other neutrons also. If other neutrons are present, then there is a high probability that this X hits the other neutrons in its neighborhood, and this reaction should happen. So you should get again some electrons from this reaction, other than electrons from the neutron decay. But what these electrons from the neutron decay, from energy momentum conservation of this reaction, has a specific type of energy dependence. Okay, but this electron will also have some other type of energy dependence, because it is a different energy distribution, because it is a different reaction. Okay, so if this reaction happens, this electron will be distinguishable from this electron. Experimentally, this can be done. But in the laboratory, you don't see an electron, which this kind of electrons, which can be produced by introduction of two particles. So in other words, this reaction is never seen in the laboratory. Though, so the bottom line is, this reaction X plus N going to P plus E is not seen in the laboratory, which means, but though this is connected to this by crossing symmetry under the assumption that X equal to X bar, but this reaction is never seen, that means our assumption is wrong. So X cannot be X bar. Sorry. So X is not equal to X bar. That's the assumption. That means, that proves that X has its own antiparticle. X is different from its antiparticle. Only this proof. What is it? What is the antiparticle of X? That is, this proof is not a search for that. It only proves that this dialogue, or this logic, these words which I just said, based on this experimental non-observation of this decay, this interaction, just claims that this particle X is different from its antiparticle. Is it clear?
Sir?
Yes.
Sir, I was asking, you just told if X is its antiparticle.
If X is its antiparticle, okay.
Then
yes.
X plus N goes to P plus electron.
X plus N goes to P plus electron, yes.
Sir, how did we get this equation?
Because from a lots of equations that happen in nature, we have always seen that, sorry, just a minute. So we have always seen that all quantum numbers are conserved in a reaction. Okay, so if I take this particle this side and make it antiparticle, so if this reaction happens in nature, whatever be the quantum numbers associated with the particles, they must be conserved if this happens in reaction. If this reaction happens, do you agree? If this reaction happens in nature, the lepton number or any other quantum number should be same for initial and final states. In other words, the quantum number should be conserved. That is how we assign quantum numbers to every particles. That is the definition of quantum numbers. We take this scheme of assignment of quantum numbers in such a way that the quantum numbers are individually conserved in all reactions that happen in nature. Is this statement clear? It was discussed earlier also.
Yes, sir.
If that is so, then if X, now we also know that if any particle and its antiparticle has opposite signs of quantum number. Any quantum number which is, say, any quantum number for a particle, value of particular quantum number for a particle is related to the corresponding value of that quantum number for its antiparticle by a negative sign.
Yes, yes.
Then if I bring X to that side, make it an antiparticle X bar, then if all quantum numbers are conserved in this reaction, this will also be conserved, because by taking this in opposite side, by making it X bar, I am just In the equation for quantum numbers, I just take the quantum number value to opposite side by making it a negative number. So that equation and the other equation are the same equations. So there is no change in the balance equation of quantum numbers. So if this reaction happen, you check 2 days, the class note of 2 days back where I discussed crossing symmetry. If A plus B goes to C plus D happens in nature, then any reaction you obtain from this reaction by interchanging particles from one side to other side by making it antiparticle, that reaction will automatically happen because that will also conserve quantum number. By the simple fact that particle and antiparticle have opposite signs of quantum numbers. So X bar n, this should also happen. If this happens in nature, I can say from our experience based on all reactions that happen in nature that this plus this should also happen in nature. We expect this to happen in nature if this happens. Now, if we assume that X is its own antiparticle, that means X bar and X are equal. That means this should also happen because X is its own antiparticle. But this reaction is not seen in nature. That means X is not its antiparticle. But that does not mean that this will not happen. This reaction will happen. Only I am saying is that its antiparticle, X antiparticle should be different from X, and this reaction must happen. This reaction should obviously happen. If this happens, this reaction should obviously happen. But only thing is that X and X bar are not same particle. That I can test by throwing this X again on this neutron, proving that that reaction is not occurring in nature. So you can actually, I have written it explicitly when you study the notes, you can find it. But is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. But the energy and momentum must also be satisfied.
Yes.
The conservation
so
must be satisfied.
that is true. Energy, but for this kind of processes, see, in this kind of process, neutron is more massive than proton, electron. Okay, so so mass of neutron is massive than all these three particles, is more than sum of rest masses of all these three particles. So there is no, there is no problem with conservation of energy momentum in this reaction. In this reaction also, whatever be the mass, because since there are two particles, they can have kinetic energy. So there will not be any problem with energy momentum conservation. If it doesn't happen with small energies, you give them higher energy so that the reaction can happen. It is energetically possible. That's all. But so far as quantum number conservation is concerned, because energy is in your hand, you can control the energy and movement of the particles. You can, if it doesn't happen at smaller energies, you keep them higher energy so that it can happen. Even if it is not possible for you, how? Because this reaction just said that a proton cannot decay to a neutron plus a positron, because proton is less massive than these two. However energy you can give to this proton, this can't be broken to heavier mass particles. In this process, you can't break. This process is not energetically allowed. But neutron going to other particles are energetically allowed. A heavier mass can decay into lower mass. But a lower mass can't decay into heavier mass. That is not energetically allowed. But if there are two particles in the initial state, for example, this is an important thing. Suppose electron and positron. The electron's mass is much lesser than mass of muons, you know. Mass of muons are 105 MeV. Mass of electrons are just 0.5 MeV. So electron masses are, so muon mass is 200 times the mass of electrons. But this reaction can happen because there are two particles in the final state. But their masses, rest masses are small, but you can increase their kinetic energy. You produce a beam of two electron and positron with very high energy and then made to collide. Then from that, the high energy of the electrons and their small rest mass energy, this high mass these massive muons can be generated. Then the mass is generated mainly from the high kinetic energy of the electrons. Okay, but this is not possible when there is a single small massive, single particle of small mass in the initial state, because a single particle, you can always go to the rest frame and its mass will always be, its total energy will always be only its rest mass. Then you can't conserve energy momentum in rest frame. Okay. So when I say that, okay, so let me come to the conclusion that this neutron decay is energetically possible, and what I discussed, I have written this here, okay, in words. You can read. I am not reading now. You can read it. So read it. So today's lecture, when you read it, read very carefully. Okay. So there are some. This here should be question 5. So only thing is that experimentally it has been proved that this particle X, which is an electrically neutral particle, is different from its antiparticle. Clear? It is not like photon. Photon is same as its own antiparticle, but X is this neutral particle emitted in beta decay is different from its antiparticle. Clear? Clear, everybody? Just one person say, because I don't.
Yes, sir.
I can check chat
Yes, sir.
every moment. There is no problem if you just unmute your mic and say something for a moment. Okay. No problem. Feel free to interrupt me or talk, because it's also very boring for me if I keep on talking without knowing the impressions on your face. Very boring for me. And okay. So this was the result, experimental result, that this X is different from its antiparticle. Now let's come to, let me try to make you understand how this analysis are done in particle physics. So earlier we have, in first class, in second class, we have shown you how the lepton numbers are assigned to this particle. I have not shown how, I just assigned the lepton numbers to the particle, stated that, and showed that for all interactions it is conserved. But this is a bit analytical approach or historical approach, how lepton numbers are assigned to different particles. Okay, so just refresh your mind and look at this. Look at this 5 interactions. Don't carry any baggage. Just concentrate on what I am saying at this moment. Okay, so concentrate on at this moment. I have written 5 interaction channels here. Okay, 4 of them happens in nature and we have discussed them already. One is the muon decay. It is discovered in cosmic ray. Sorry, one is the decay of pion. One is the decay of muon. Okay, experimentally it has been discovered in the cosmic ray showers. I said by looking at the tracks, you can find these decay channels. X is again some neutral particle. Okay. So these 3 we discussed: neutron decay, pion decay, muon decay. Now this is another reaction which is observed in the laboratory for very long days, because electron and positron, if we hit them, you see there are 2 photons are produced. Okay, so this also happens in nature. This is called pair production. You may know this. This reaction D is not observed in nature, so I made it like this. It doesn't happen in nature. Okay, so not arrow, that means doesn't happen in nature. So now carefully look at this equation and try to follow what I am saying. Now first thing I assume, so I want a conservative approach. Conservative approach means, so I will feel comfortable if this neutral particle emitted in emitted in pion decay, this X these X, these X. So all these are neutral particles emitted in pion decay. By pion decay, muon decay, neutron decay. Okay. Now to start with, we don't know whether they are same or whether there are two different kinds of neutral particles, or whether there are four different kinds of neutral particles, or there is a single neutral particle appearing everywhere. To start with, we don't know experimentally because we don't know. We don't see the track of the path. They have no charges. So it is very difficult to distinguish, detect them. So we can't detect them. Then the next, distinguishing them is far more difficult. Okay. So to start with, let us assume that without explicitly saying, we keep in our mind that say all these x's to be, let's say they are same. So we start with a scenario where all these 4x are same neutral particle. Okay. And let's see and proceed with this. If this assumption gets hurt by some experimental result, then we will change this assumption and consider one more. This X is not a single particle. The X can be a set of two particles. So any one of them can sit in these positions. Okay. So this is our approach. So this is the most conservative approach. Yes.
So from experiment, we can also measure the mass of the unknown particle like X. Then we can know that for different these reactions, the same X is there.
You can't measure.
We can.
You can't measure the mass of the particle. You can't measure the mass of this particle X from experiment. First thing is that you can't see this particle. First thing is that you can't see this particle. This is a neutral particle. It doesn't give any track. You can only measure mass of pion. You can only measure mass of muon. You can measure energy of muon, momentum of muon, etc. But this particle's energy, momentum, you can't measure. You can sense its total energy at least from the total energy difference of this particle and this particle, because it is energy conservation. Okay, and that's all.
Yes.
And the thing is that you don't know how much momentum it carries, how much energy it carries. It is not measurable. Okay. At this point of time. Nowadays, everything is measurable with highly experiment, but it's a bit, I am telling you, so this whole business of this class is to how lepton numbers are assigned to leptons. Okay. So look at these interactions, and for the time being, assume that all these 4 x's are same particle for the time being. Now, since we have one experimental result that X is not equal to X bar, as I discussed just now, X is, its antiparticle is different. That means what? That means there must be at least one quantum number which is, say, positive for X and negative for X bar. And that quantum number is not charge. Charge is 0 for X, 0 for its antiparticle. Okay? Because it is a neutral particle. So charge is a quantum number which can't distinguish X and X bar. But since experimentally X and X bar should be different particles, as we have proved, so there must exist some quantum number which should take different value for antiparticle and antiparticle, X and X bar. Okay? There must exist. This is one conclusion we can take from the basis that X and X bar are different particles. Okay. So let's look at this interaction first. Okay. So I wrote many things here. You can read it later. So first interaction A, concentrate on this. Okay. Now we assign, So this quantum, so we decided that there must be one quantum number which should be different for x and x bar, and which is not charge. So let's introduce a quantum number L. Okay, so we have to explain that this reaction happens in nature in terms of quantum number conservation. Okay, charge is already conserved, but since x is different from x bar, so we need another quantum number. So I take that quantum number L and say that this L should be such a quantum number which should be positive for x and negative for x bar. Clear? So that by this quantum number L, I can differentiate between x, this neutral particle, and its antiparticle, because they are experimentally proved to be different particles. If so, then let's assign, because L equal to 1 for nu to start with in this interaction, because to this first assumption you have to make, because you are assigning, because this is initial condition. So L equal to, you put L equal to 1. If L equal to 1 for mu, that means if this reaction should happen, L of other two particles should be such that this L is conserved in this reaction. Clear? So there are two possibilities. So we have already assigned initially, conventionally we have taken mu minus as an L value equal to 1. Clear? Then either we should take pi minus, so pi minus to be 1, this 0, or we should take this minus 1, 0. So that there are only two possibilities of assigning quantum numbers to L quantum number to pion and x for a given L value of mu. Is it clear? There are no other possibilities.
Yes, sir.
No other possibilities means you can choose 2, 3 like numbers, but we said that this is our approach, that minimum number of particles get a non-zero assignment of this new quantum number. Okay, so that, and we don't just, if let's start with only 2 digits. If 2 digits are not enough, then we include more. So okay, then we can include 2, 3 numbers 2 and 3, etc. Okay, so if this is clear, there are only 2 possibilities for a given initial choice of L quantum number for this. Now, if I choose possibility 2, that means this neutral particle gets a L value equal to 0, which means its antiparticle x bar, which is different from x, should also have an L value equal to 0. Clear? Then L will not be a good quantum number to distinguish between x and x bar. Okay, but we want L to make this neutral particle distinguish from its antiparticle in terms of quantum numbers. For that reason, the possibility 1 is more favorable. Clear? Otherwise, you have to choose another quantum number to make the distinction, and that quantum number should have this kind of possibility. Is it clear to everybody?
Yes, sir.
So possibility 1 is the sensible choice for quantum numbers for pion and x for a given choice of L of. So this is initialization. So this is conventional. You can take minus 1 to start with, and you will get plus 1 for x. Okay. So
Sir.
Yes.
Sir,
Yes.
Why we assign L equal to 1 for mu1 particle? Why not for pion? mu1 is fundamental, that is so.
mu1 is fundamental. That is no. That is because actually this has some historical importance. So we have seen these interactions. How we will interact. How we will assign these numbers. How we will assign these quantum numbers only looking at these interactions in such a way that these interactions conserve the lepton numbers. And we see that at least 2 of these interactions contains mu1s. So if I give some non-zero number to mu1, it is useful to handle the dynamics. If I assign +1 to pion, then pion is not there in any other reactions. So we have to, if I just focus on take these 5 reactions to set up our assignment, then mu1 has more freedom because it appears at least in 2 places. Okay. Do you understand? If I give 1 to this, if I give 1 to this,
Yes.
0 to this, then it will get, we should give 1 to this. Yeah. You can do it. You can do it. You can see. You can do it. But since I know if you look at carefully at these reactions, these reactions happen, these reactions do not happen. So once I set mu1 quantum number to be 0, that means mu plus should also be 0.
Yes.
Okay, then this quantum number, introduced quantum number, can't distinguish between mu minus and mu plus.
Yes.
Is it clear?
Yes, sir. Clear.
Sir, our choice of assigning lepton number -1 to this also specifies that pion is not a lepton. I mean, it is getting automatically
I
specified.
have never said
that
it's a lepton. Actually, to start with, there is any number, L I specified. Okay, you can call it M also. Just this L number for the time being, don't call it a lepton number. It is the lepton number, but since I am telling you how historically it came into being, so I am telling you that this, I just assign L for, this is an initialization. For this initialization, if this has to happen, either this has to happen or this has to happen. These 2 are possibilities. Okay. Now, according to this pi value, this pi gets L value 0. Okay. That means pi on, pi minus, its antiparticle is pi plus. For that, L will also be 0. So by L, you can't distinguish pi plus and pi minus, but you don't need to distinguish that because charge actually distinguishes this. Now, by L, you should not also you did not distinguish between mu minus and mu plus by L values because charge is there. Okay. So both are possible. You can take this value or this value, but if you choose this one, then what happens? X gets this neutral particle gets a non-zero L value, so that its antiparticle, which is put to be different, becomes different from this in terms of this quantum number L.
Sir.
Yes.
Hello.
Okay, sir.
Sir, L is equal to 1 for mu minus. If this choice is so arbitrary, then what is the assurance that it would fit with all the reactions observed in nature?
Because it is because so what is the definition of 1 centimeter? See, when you define 1 centimeter, what is its definition? You just distance between 2 marks on a 1 meter, distance between 2 marks on that rod put in ISI or anywhere in some place. We just took it. Okay, it's arbitrarily took that definition to be, so that is the initialization. Once that this unit, once that unit is chosen, in terms of it, I will realize everything. Here it is also like that.
Okay, sir, but all the reactions till
So
date
let's see, because I initialize A to start with. So you must assign L value to some quantum number to some particle to start with. So for that we assigned L equal to 1, sorry, just a minute, sorry. We assigned, so this is our initialization that we forced. Once we forced it, then let's see, this L should be such that in all the reactions that happen in nature, it should be conserved. We will stick to this. Now we will look every reaction. Now we will look at the reactions which happen in nature and which does not happen in nature. Now these reactions with this initialization. Now these reactions that happen in nature, in that reactions, we put L equal to 1 wherever mu minus occurs, and we will put other L values to other particles in such a way that this L is conserved for that particular reaction so that it happens in nature. If we put in L in one particular reaction in that way, then go to the next reaction. Then some more L values are already being assigned in last two equations. Now in the third equation, if we find that those assigned values are not fitting, so that but still it is happening in nature, then we have to reject that choice. Okay.
Okay, sir.
That way. So let me proceed, because I am going to show you how this initialization, where initialization takes us. Clear?
Okay, sir.
So now tell me, is there any problem if I choose L equal to 1 for this mu, for this L equal to 1 for this mu, and demand, so we choose L equal to 1 for this particle and demand that L is conserved in all reactions. I will test it, whether L is conserved in all reactions. I demand that L should be conserved in all reactions. And demanding that, I will assign L to all the particles accordingly, so that there is no conflict between that a single particle will always attain a unique L. If there is a conflict between the assignment of L of a single particle from two different reactions, then our scheme will break down. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So L equal to, so what we have done so far, I did L equal to 1 for this and choose L for this and this in such a way that this reaction total L is conserved. So we are free to choose, given this initialization, we are free to choose L of X and pi in such a way that L is conserved. And those freedom leads us to two possibilities, this and this. Now we choose possibility 1 because we want to exploit the experimental fact that this particle X is experimentally different from its antiparticle. Therefore, this same initialized quantum number L should take opposite values for X and X bar, so that X and X bar can be differentiated in terms of L only. Clear? That's safe, because I don't want to introduce more quantum numbers. I want to introduce minimum number of quantum numbers. So, okay. For that, this will be the probability 1 should be a good choice, because for this only X gets a non-zero value. For this possibility, X gets a 0 value, so X bar will also be 0, and there is no, and so then X and X bar has charge equal to 0, L equal to 0. Then we need to define particle and to differentiate particle and antiparticle, we need an extra quantum number, and that cannot be L. So we choose L to serve that purpose also. Okay. I have written here. So we choose possibility 1 over possibility 2 because in possibility 2, all the neutral particles gets an L assignment 0 and the quantum number L can't serve the purpose of distinguishing the particle X and its antiparticle. So we discard possibility 2 and choose probability 1. Possibility 1. Clear? Is it
Yes,
clear?
sir.
So,
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
okay, let me drink a sip of water. So this is our assignment. So clear? So we have assigned this. So L equal to 1 for mu, and the first interaction A, possibility 1, we adopted, that gives 0 for pion and minus 1 for X. Clear? As I just, this possibility, 0 for pion, 1 minus 1 for mu minus and X. Okay. So from equation A, from interaction A is pion decay. And we check that for this, obviously L is conserved. Okay, so that means that the reaction happens in nature, charge is conserved, energetically it is viable, and we introduced L in such a way that L is also conserved, but L now gets a special power that it can distinguish between this particle X and its antiparticle. Clear? Okay. So for the time being, this is X. Now we call X, so this X has L minus 1. So let us call this X with L minus 1 as antineutrino and its antiparticle, that is the particle with L equal to 1, excess antiparticle, that is X bar, with has L equal to 1. We call that particle L equal to 1 a neutrino. Clear? In that sense, this pion decay, we can write this X as, because it gets an assignment L equal to minus 1, so that we conventionally call anti-particle to those who has a minus 1 quantum number. Okay, so we call this an antiparticle of, this is an antiparticle of its own antiparticle. Clear? So we write this as, so X with L minus 1, we call it mu bar. Clear? Is this clear? This is a convention just. So we say that pion decays to a muon and an antineutrino. Okay, the antineutrino means it has an L value minus 1. To you, it is a neutral particle with L value minus 1. A neutral particle with L value plus 1 will be called a neutrino, which should be its antiparticle, but it's different from this because their L values are different, and we have experimentally also proved. Clear? Then I go to next step.
Yes, sir.
Now next equation is very interesting, which is this B. Okay, this B is muon decay. Now muon by initialization gets a L value, and X gets an L value from the first equation here. And we have assumed to start with that all X's are same. Clear? Now come to second equation, B. Let's come here. So B. This is B. Okay. Now, so read it. So this is the muon decay, where X is again just a neutral particle to begin with. The already assigned values of mu minus and X simply imply, so L, so mu has a value, okay, so mu has a value 1 by your assignment. Okay, the already assigned values of imply that if L has to be conserved in this reaction here, then what are the probabilities? Can you tell me? Don't see this line for the time being. Forget this line. Forget, don't read this statement. Just L has a value 1 by assignment, and we have the fact that x, where x in the first equation, gets the value -1. Okay, clear? According to the first equation. So this is in the second equation. If we assume that this equation, this x, if I assume that these two x's are same as that x in first equation, okay, these neutral particles are same as that, then we should write this equal to -1, this equal to -1. Then what should electron be?
3.
3.
It should be 3 to match the left hand side.
Now the problem is there any, will there be any problem with this? Or what is the problem with, so if I get this assignment, what will be the problem? Will there be any problem in, will this 3 can cause future problems?
There will be many choices for future.
Yeah, because just a minute. Can it be shown from this equation? So electron gets 3. So in this equation, electron will get 3. This reaction happens in nature. So electron will get L value 3. Okay. Then we have to assign L value of x as, x is already -1. We have seen. Okay. So 3 minus 1. Okay. So if I assume L value of n to be 0, P should be how much?
-2.
-2. And there are multiple possibilities. Okay. And N and P are such particles that they take part in many reactions. So to start with, if we want to make ourselves to be to fix the numbers only between 0 and 1, to use minimum numbers, then other option is, so this is one option, obviously. Okay, so let's say this. This is one option. Another option is what? Another option is this. So mu is for this is 1, this is true, this is fixed, this is initialized. Other option is you, because since you don't know whether two x's are same, you now lose your assumption that these are two neutral particles. Clear? Choose that this particle, this neutral particle and this neutral particle are different. One is nu and another is nu bar. Choose that. If you choose that, then you have already chosen L equal to -1 for nu bar, okay, and L equal to 1 for nu. Then E can get a value 1. Then this can also be a choice. So instead of 1, 3, -1, -1, this can also be a choice. 1, 1, 1, -1. Because this will also be conserved. Only thing is that in that case, we have to test later experimentally that these two are really physically different particles. Okay. Clear? Yes.
But we have just assigned L equal to 1 for muon.
We have
But
just
if
assigned.
we L equal to 1, like L number.
Yes. Yes.
But if we redefine it L equal to -1, then the
You can't
probability
redefine
will
it. You can't redefine it from once defined, it is defined. It should be all reaction should, so mu1 gets the number forever. Wherever a mu1 appears, it should appear with that number. That is the initialization. It is not that for every reaction mu1 takes a different value. Then there is no point of this number. So 1 centimeter is fixed for all. In India, in Pakistan, in USA, in Belur, everywhere 1 centimeter is, yes.
In the first equation, we pi to muon plus x.
In the first equation, okay.
From here, if we start to put muon equal to -1, then x becomes +1.
mu1 equal to -1. Okay.
And x
Yeah.
equal to +1.
X equal to +1, it is 0. Okay. So what is the problem?
And then in B,
So this is minus,
muon equal to -1,
yes,
electron -1,
-1,
and that to 1 1
x2,
x1,
1,
and that x is also 1.
1. So it is not conserved. So -1 this side, this is +1 this side.
Yes.
Okay. So I request you to read this class notes in this weekend very carefully and think over it, and then, because this is a very tricky way of putting the logics, you just try to find whether there are any loopholes. Okay, I'm saying this right now, but if I miss something, you just try to read this and try to find yourself. Then you can ask me in the next class. I am just telling you this analysis. So if I choose L equal to 1 for assigned value is 1, then I can choose L equal to 1 for this, and x and x, then I if I take this choice, this means this x and this x are antiparticles of each other. So the two neutral particles that came out in the result of beta decay are not same, but they are antiparticles, particles and antiparticles. This has been seen experimentally much later, that these two particles are different. Okay, but initially people find that the most conservative approach of assigning quantum numbers suggests that they should be antiparticles. Is it clear? Because this is the most conservative way of putting quantum numbers, not exceeding, only taking values 0 and 1, not getting 2, 3 high values, so that you end up with a infinite possibilities. Clear? So this is one choice at this point, and this choice, so just I said, with respect to the earlier choice, just I discussed here, so it is 1, it can be, if it is -1, if it is -1, -1, so it has to be 3. Okay, so this is also a possible choice which comes out quantum number. This is also a possible choice, but second choice demands that particle and antiparticle are both particle and antiparticle are produced in the muon decay. These two particles are not same particles. This has been experimentally discovered later, but historically people find that the most conservative approach of assigning quantum numbers between 0 and 1, not to high values, that suggests that the conservative approach prefers these two particles to be particle and antiparticle. Here, you see, follow my argument. So, if I believe in my heart that nature prefers this conservative assignment of quantum numbers, okay, then it is desirable that X and these two X's are particle and antiparticle. They are not same particle. And this has been later proved experimentally, but historically this was chosen. Okay, here. And we later proved that this choice, we made a correct choice earlier. And our belief, we were not wrong in our belief that nature makes a conservative assignment to particle to lepton number values. So all particles can have lepton number values only 0 or 1 or -1, not 2, 3, 5, 6. Okay, and minimum number of particles should have non-zero values of lepton number. That is our scheme. Okay. Here, in that way, we can write muon decay in this way. So muon decay is one neutrino and an antineutrino. Okay, so one part, so here, so nu means L with 1, nu bar means L with -1. Here, this is nu and this is nu bar. Here, now we can rewrite A and B in term, dropping X in terms of nu and nu bar, where nu and nu bar are two different antiparticles of each other. Okay, as we go on, we will see that again there is a problem with this. These two particles are not, this is not antiparticle of this, later we will see. So, but up to this point, what we get is this. Tell me up to this point whether this analysis is clear. Whether you find any loopholes in the analysis. So I choose and initialize some value of quantum number L to a particle muon, and I take the value of L, I exploit L to be a quantum number which can distinguish between the other neutral particles and its antiparticle, which are experimentally different particle already proved. Now I keep on assigning from A and B. I just assign that L is, this is an initialization. By this initialization and from A and B, we can see that these particles get these values of L. So nu minus is 1. So its antiparticle will always get plus -1. So E minus is 1 by this equation. And nu bar gets L1 and L minus 1. Is it clear up to this point?
Yes, sir.
Sir? Yes, sir.
Yes. Any questions?
Sir, the L value of electron is not 3. To get this conclusion, we need more equation. Only from
Yes,
this,
we need more equations. Actually, at this point, we need more equations. If you see more equations where electrons are involved, then you will see that the other quantum number, you have a large freedom to assign. There are large possibilities coming up. And quantum numbers can take values 5, 6, 8. Okay. And there are huge possibilities. Then, but you want to make the most conservative assignment. Conservative assignment means minimum number of particle gets. So you assign quantum numbers in such a way that your assignment, minimum number of particle gets a non-zero value of a particular quantum number first. Second, the values, the possibility of the values are also minimum. It's 0, 1, at least 0, 1. It is not 0, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8 like that. So you also demand that. So we are searching whether such an assignment scheme exists, so that we can assign smallest number of quantum numbers to smallest number of particles, smallest number of non-zero quantum numbers to particles, and as minimum quantum number as possible. And quantum number values also doesn't take any large value, just 1, 2 numbers are okay to describe all particles. Just one, two digits, 0 or 1 or at least 2. Okay, whether in such a way we can assign a quantum number scheme so that quantum numbers are conserved in all reactions that happen in nature, and at least one quantum number conservation is violated in reactions where it does not happen. So this is our whole scheme. So not only assigning quantum number is our scheme, assigning quantum number in a convenient way. Suppose you assign, today you assign a set of quantum number L equal to 1 for something, L equal to 5 for something, L equal to 25 for something, L equal to 10 for something. You can assign in that way, in such a way that lepton numbers are conserved. Okay, but that may contain some redundancy in it. You don't want any redundancy. Do you understand what do you mean by redundancy? Ajotha kichu carry kora. Carrying something which is you don't require. So you work with a bare minimum. Suppose I tell you, suppose you have no money in this time and you have to survive. So what you will buy from this, whatever small money you have, whatever you will buy, what you will buy? You will not buy anything extra. So lepton number assignments are also like that. Minimum, how minimally this choice can be made so that this conservation law of all the quantum numbers can survive. Okay. Clear?
Okay.
So it will be clear as we gradually go on for more introductions, because it's very difficult to realize it just only seeing 2 introductions. Now come to the third introduction, important introduction. This is introduction. This introduction, just we have to verify something. Just verify that for this third introduction, where we have assigned this L value according to A and B, looking at the equations B and mu on decay and pi on decay, this interaction happens in nature and these assigned values satisfy this. So check this charge is conserved, but L value of, what is L value of positron? It is -1. L value of electron is +1. What is L value of photon? You don't need to assign anything because photon is its own antiparticle. Its L value must be 0. Yeah. Because photon is its own antiparticle, its L value, any quantum number, intrinsic quantum number it has, it should be 0. If it is not 0, then photon's antiparticle will be different from it. It will, if L of photon is say 1, so L equal to, photon's antiparticle should have an L equal to -1, and that would be a different particle, but experimentally that is not true. So photon's L value will automatically 0. So lepton number conservation is there. So this table, I only write non-zero value of assigned lepton numbers. All other particles which are not in the list, at the time being, they have 0 lepton numbers. Okay, so the pion is not in the list, so pion has 0 lepton number. Pion, but only one entry of this is initialization. Other entries get their values from the list of reactions that observed to happen in nature. Yeah? Now come to, so this is this situation you can see here, -1, -1. So C is okay. Okay, this is, so now comes the most interesting thing. Come to this equation D. This is the most interesting reaction, or most interesting feature, fact, that this interaction does not happen. That is something not happening is also a very important information. Okay, so this reaction does not happen. Okay, mu E, so look at this. Why it does not happen? Look, this reaction, mu1 has a mass. Mu1 has a mass larger than electron. So there is no problem, because it is 1.5 and these 2 are electron masses. So there is no, energetically there is no problem of occurring of this decay. Okay. Their charge is also conserved in this channel. Here -1, -1. This gamma is a photon. Spin is also conserved because it is half spin. It is one spin. Half plus one result can be half. Clear? So spin can also be conserved. Now your assigned L value in this list, what is L for mu1 is -1, L for electron is -1, L for gamma is 0, it is not in the list. Okay, so in this L is 1, it is 1, it is 0. So L is also conserved. So all quantum numbers are conserved, it is energetically possible, still it does not happen. Okay, now you can ask why it doesn't happen. The best answer to this question is that it doesn't happen in nature because nature wants it in that way. Okay, now this assignment of quantum number scheme suggests to you that there must be at least one quantum number that is not conserved in this reaction. Okay, so non-observation of this interaction must be translated in terms of non-conservation of one quantum number. And that quantum number is not in the list. L, Q, spin, etc. and charge. Okay, they are energy, momentum, etc. They are not that quantum number. So all quantum numbers are conserved, still it doesn't happen. So what should we do? Can you suggest what should we do?
We should use.
Yes.
We should introduce.
We should introduce some new quantum number. Okay, such that that new quantum number can be introduced in such a way that these three particles, you have to assign such values to these three particles in such a way that that quantum number is violated in this reaction. Okay, so that it doesn't happen. Not only that, the new quantum number introduced to these particles should be introduced in such a way that the other reactions, A, B, C, in those reactions that new quantum number should be conserved. Otherwise, that will not happen. Clear? So you can take, whenever you introduce a new quantum number, you have to revisit back all the reactions and check that though that is conserved in all these reactions. Is it clear? Okay, so let's introduce a new quantum number LE. Okay, and call the new quantum number and assign again. This is a first new quantum number should start with the first assignment. This is called LE equal to 1 for E minus. Okay, this is the first assignment. Now you approach most conservatively. Try to assign 0 to as much as possible to all other quantum numbers unless you are forced to. Clear? This is the approach. Put 0 for all. Now just take what at least to whom I can't give a 0. Okay. So try to force 0 to all. So give it 1, and if I give 0 to others, then left LE is not conserved in this reaction. Clear? So this way of introducing LE at least justifies that this reaction will not happen. Is it clear, everybody?
Sir, I can't understand.
This reaction doesn't happen in nature. Clear? This is a statement, experimental statement. Now we need to introduce a new quantum number in such a way this reaction doesn't happen still, even though all these three quantum numbers are conserved. Clear? So I have to introduce a new quantum number, and then let us denote it by E, in such a way that LE is, the assignment is such that this new quantum number is not conserved in this reaction. Then only I can say that according to our lepton number assignment scheme, in this reaction is not happening because at least one quantum number is not conserved. We want to translate it in terms of non-conservation of a quantum number, and that quantum number was not there so far. So we introduce it and assigned it its value looking at this interaction in such a way that it is not conserved in this reaction. So if I assign LE equal to +1, initialize, and then assign 0 to the other particles, Okay, in such a way, other particles, so that, and we can directly check that by this ad hoc assignment, left hand side is not equal to right hand side. So 1 plus 0 is not equal to 0. So LE is violated in this reaction. All three are true, conserved. Okay. So this reaction, now we can say this reaction does not happen because at least one of the conservation laws are violated. Up to this,
Okay, sir, okay.
Now, since you have introduced one new quantum number LE, you have to revisit the other equations A, B, C, where this A, B, C again, and check that LE is conserved in this reaction. The new that has not been checked yet because you introduced the new quantum number looking at non-conservation of this. But once you have introduced a new quantum number LE, that has to be conserved in the other three also, so that these reactions can happen. If L gets, so LE should be assigned again in such a way that is conserved in A, B, C. Do you follow? You have to revisit again and check with LE. At any step, if you need to if you require to introduce any new quantum number and assign some values so that to make that reaction to understand that why that reaction doesn't happen, then you have to again revisit all the previous reactions and check whether the newly introduced quantum number is conserved for all reactions that happen in nature and does not conserve for any reaction that doesn't happen in nature. Clear?
Yes, sir.
So, are you getting some feeling how this is done? Now you have to think, I mean, you have to read this, but am I able to make you feel how this quantum number assignment are going on?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Sir,
Yes, sir.
but
Yes.
in the we don't have to assign a new quantum number. If we in the B reaction, if we choose leptonic electronic number for electron is -1 and both X to be neutrino.
Sorry, what you said?
I am saying that in the B reaction, if we choose electron to have -1 lepton number and both X's are neutrino, then B reaction is satisfied, conservation, and also D is also satisfied.
And D, it is violated.
Yes, D is violated. Then we don't have to assign a new quantum number.
And in E?
Well,
sorry,
after
can
E,
you?
we don't need.
Okay, because, okay, so let me do one thing. Let me state my version. Now you will have this file. Now you read it carefully and try to put your own version of quantum number assignment. Okay, and check that whether you can suggest any other version. If you are able, I will give you Nobel Prize. Sorry, not Nobel Prize, that of biryani. But let me, because I have only come up to 3, but whatever you are saying, okay, can you say again what you just said? If I give mu equal to what? How much?
Mu is assigned previously, but if
1.
I choose electron to have lepton number -1 and X, both X are same and there's a neutrino, so they will have +1 and +1. Then B reaction is satisfied. It occurs, but and also D reaction it doesn't have doesn't occur, and this is also satisfied. So
Okay.
we don't need any other quantum.
Okay. That is absolutely true, but it will soon violate other interactions, which I'll come
Yes,
to
of course.
discuss. Okay, because I just want to give you a feel so that you can realize the thing of your own by reading a book, because it is not possible to list all these interactions here. Okay, it's a history of so many years. But these are the basic, the approach is this, that minimum quantum number should be introduced and care should be taken so that as maximum number of particles should have a zero value of the quantum number. Only when we are extremely, we are forced, we are cornered, then we can only give a non-zero value. Okay. And also to your comment, it has been proved experimentally that these two X's are different. Clear? These two X's are not neutrinos. They are experimentally different. This has been proved. Okay. So even if you start with, you can carry these two sets of assignments parallelly, my way of saying and your way of saying. But the way when experiment comes, that these two X's are same, that will be discarded. Okay. Okay. So with these assignments, with these assignments, so we need to introduce a new LE. Okay. So if LE is introduced, you can check that LE is 1 for electron. So LE is -1 for positron. LE is 0 for muon. Okay. And I don't know what should be LE for this particle X, because X is not in the list. Clear? Now, look at this. We have these two numbers, these numbers, LE, L. So these are independent numbers. Clear? These are independent numbers. Sorry. These are independent numbers, LE and L. Now, instead of choosing LE and L, you could have replaced just LE and L are so chosen that LE and L are conserved in all reactions. Okay, I assume that. We will, for other reactions which we have not yet revisited, we have to assign these particles X in such a way that LE and L are individually conserved in all the reactions that happen. Now, in this process, instead of using L and LE and L without any loss of generality, we could have used, in place of L, we could use L, LE. In place of L, I could use another quantum number, L minus LE. Okay. If we, because this choice will not break anything, because if L is conserved in all the reactions, LE is conserved in all the reactions, L minus LE should also be conserved. Only thing is that this is a dependent thing of these two, or in other words, L is dependent on these two terms, LE and L. This, okay. So instead of choosing LE, L, Q and spin as intrinsic quantum numbers, we can choose LE, L minus LE, Q and spin, or we denote L minus LE by L mu. Okay, so that instead of L, we will now use a different quantum number L mu, but we have already assigned L for all particles, we can LE for all particles, so we can easily just find LE assignments and then calculate L mu using this relation. Is it clear? There is no loss in generality of using that. Look at this. So this is so look at this table. First I showed this table. So I wrote the same table here only by using a new quantum number LE, and this L mu is L is already assigned 1 minus 1. That was there in the previous table. LE we have to assign, and we have already assigned here that LE is 0 for muon, 1 for electron. So in this list, LE is 0 for muons, 1 for electron, minus 1 for positron obviously, And we don't know what is for this neutrino and antineutrino. For that, we have to go back to other reactions. We only know that total L is 1 and -1 for the. Okay, yes.
Sir, since photon is totally is a particle of totally different type than electron or muon, instead of dividing Le and L mu, could we introduce a totally different quantum number for photon so that the conservation would not hold?
No, I don't know what you are saying.
I mean, since electron and muon are, photon is a totally different particle than electron or muon.
How do you know this? Photon is a totally different from electron and muon are totally different particles. How do you know? So why the difference between electron and photon is more than the difference between muon and electron? Why do you feel such way? To start with, because don't carry any biasness. Later you know that they have a same quantum number L. And okay.
Okay, sir. Yes, I understand.
Do you get where you are stuck?
Yes, I understand.
Okay. To start with, all particles are different. We are introducing a scheme, optimal scheme of assigning quantum numbers. Okay. So instead of, for the time being, instead of invoking some new sets of assignment, just verify whether my way of assignment has any loopholes. Just look at that. Now, when you clearly go through all these things once more, then you try to build up your new scheme. Okay, when you try to understand this, just try to follow whether are there any loopholes in my rendering the logic. Okay. So Le and L mu. So we replace L by L minus Le. Okay. So this is not no longer an independent quantum number. So we choose this to be independent. So for the time being, L mu can be calculated because we have already calculated L. So once you assign Le, calculate L mu using L minus Le. Okay. So you get these assignments. Clear? So only for mu, you don't know. You have to find Le assignments and L mu assignments. You at least know for mu and mu bar, Le plus L mu should be +1 for mu and -1 for mu bar, because L you have already assigned earlier. Here. Okay, L is already assigned, but not the individual Le and L mu. Clear? Now, okay, let's revisit the introduction channels again, A and B, because I have to revisit it. Now I have to test Le conservation here. Okay, we have seen that L is conserved, L is assigned that way. Clear? So here mu1, mu bar, here 1 mu and 1 mu bar. So 1 minus 1. So in all places L is conserved. Okay. Consider channel A and observe if we have to conserve Le and L mu simultaneously. Individually, if you need to conserve, how you have to assign Le and L mu to this? Because what you have already assigned so far is that Le for mu is 0 and Le for electron is 1. L mu for mu is 1, it's for 0. So in pion decay, so you have what already is assigned from the non-observation of this decay D we discussed. What is true is that this was already assigned. Okay. Now, the only possibility is, sorry, Le and L mu I have to assign here. Note that L has already been assigned and L is such that this is sum of these two. In that way, L mu is defined. Okay. Now we have assigned LE 0 for mu1 already and L mu 1 for mu1. Already we have assigned. Okay. Therefore, this particle should have this. Clear? There are no other possibilities. Clear? So LE is conserved here. L mu is individually conserved here. 0, 0, 0 plus 0 equal to 0, 1 minus 1 equal to 0. Okay. And L is automatically conserved, they are sum, but this is okay. So what is the conclusion? The conclusion is very profound that this mu bar, which is emitted with mu1 in pion decay, carries an LE value 0 and L mu value -1. So what I say that mu1, which is produced in the decay, that nu bar which is produced with mu1, it has an LE value. So it has an LE and L mu. It has an LE value 0. It has an LE value +1. Clear? This is a mu bar. Total L is minus. Sorry. This is -1. Okay, so its LE is 0, L mu is -1. Okay, its total L is -1. And that's why it is a mu bar. Now come to this interaction. Here you have to conserve LE, L mu separately. And LE for this is already 1. LE for mu is already 0. Then mu and mu bar, this two must have this LE. Clear?
Yes, sir.
There are no other possibilities. You verify it, because everything I can't explain plain in words. Just I have written down. Just see and verify that only possibilities of LE and L mu that can take are this. Okay. Let's make things more clear. Is it clear? So all these assignments are based on the fact that LE should be conserved for all these interactions. L mu should be conserved for all these interactions that happen in nature. And at least one should be violated for the interaction which does not happen in nature. And we have seen already that LE is assigned in such a way that in this interaction, which is which does not happen in nature, LE is violated. Since LE is violated, you can check L mu is also violated, because L mu of this side is 1, L mu of this side is 0. Okay, so, and this does not happen in nature. Accordingly, you assign LE values to neutrinos of reaction A and reaction B in this way. Now you get the most interesting result, that there is one nu bar here. This nu bar has a LE value 0 and L mu value -1. Clear? And there is a nu bar here also in the mu1 decay. Ion decay, nu bar, and the nu bar in mu1 decay, that has a LE value -1 and 0. It's the opposite of this. So this has LE value 0, L mu value -1, charge 0, spin half. This has charge 0, spin half, that is okay. But LE value and L mu value are interchanged here. That means lepton from the very profound power of assigning lepton numbers in the most economic way hints to the fact that this mu bar and produced in pion decay and the mu bar produced in muon decay should be different particle because they have different sets of quantum numbers. 0, -1 and -1, 0. Is it clear? What I said, that this particle mu has this and this mu bar, both are mu bar, both has L -1, but still LE mu differences are there. One is 0 -1, other is -1, 0. Okay? Is it clear what I am saying?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
That means now later it was experimentally proved that these two are indeed different particles. But the power of this scheme that I would assign quantum numbers in the most economic way as possible. As miser I am, I am the most strict person to spend any number for spend any money for any particle or quantum number for any particle. I should be as conservative as possible, as economic as possible. Then the automatic quantum number assignment that the particle gets suggests the correct things which is later discovered. So the most economic conservation of quantum numbers suggests that, in a way, that the scheme we are discussing so many times, I have uttered so many times, that scheme suggests that this nu and this nu should be different. Nu bar, both are nu bar. Both have L -1, but they are intrinsically different particles. So they have, one has an L mu value. Okay. This has an LE value 0. This has an L mu value -1. So these two are, so we must use different symbols for these two. And we denote nu bar with LE 0 and L mu 0 as nu bar mu, and nu bar with LE -1, the other thing, and LE 0 as nu bar E. Clear? Therefore, their antiparticle should have LE -1, L mu 0, and this antiparticle. So, so now pion decay and muon decay can be written as this. A and B can be written as this. Clear? Is it clear? All the three particles are different. You understand how I get it? Now later we experimentally prove that all these three particles are different, but just this economic scheme has this much power. It accidentally not accidentally, there is this economics, it is inbuilt, inherent in the nature of this fundamental particles is in such a way that it gives the correct predictions always. Just a minute. Hello? আমি একটা ক্লাস নিচ্ছি আসলে, নটা অবধি চলবে। হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ। Okay, thank you. Okay. Sorry. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Do you find this interesting anyway? Just frankly.
Definitely.
But see, this is very crucial analysis. Read my class note very carefully. Read the book of Griffiths, book by David Griffiths, first chapter, from where I prepared some part of the notes. But try to understand, visualize it, it's yourself. So now this is the assignment. Now look at this table. Initially, where we read, initially we had this table, so I should finish now. So there are 6 particles. For this nu and nu bar, we didn't have what is LE and L mu. In order to assign LE and L mu to these particles, we discover that there are 2 different types of nu. And now this particle table goes like this. Okay, so nu, this nu and nu bar, which has different Le. L is, so this nu and nu. Okay, so antiparticle I have just written. Clear? So this L is no more in blue color, is no more needed. Now this, we can take this to as fundamental, but I have given this because I have introduced this earlier. So for completeness, I have given this. Clear? So if you rearrange this table column, I can write in this way also, the same 8 particles. You just check that, this pair, electron, and then, so electron has an Le value, this and this particular neutrino has also an same set of Le mu value. Okay, so Le mu is same for electron and muon. Sorry, this kind of neutrino. What differentiates these two are electrical charge only. So -1 and this is neutral. Okay. Similarly for this. That's why we say for every electron or for every charge lepton, there is an associated neutrino, neutral particle, neutral lepton or neutrino, which has same set of Le mu values. Only difference is in the charge. Okay. So this is the thing. So nu E, this nu mu, they are called electron flavored neutrino, muon flavored neutrino, and you now realize why we use this symbol E besides it in this subscript. Clear? To take care of the fact that this particle E has the same set of Le mu arrangements as electron. This nu mu has the same set of Le mu arrangement as the mu minus. Clear? I hope if you go through this once more, you will understand this. Now you have this table. Clear? Is it more or less clear? Is there any big?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now just last equation. Look at this equation C. Now can you tell me what should be X? What should be X? Because now you
Electron antineutrino.
Electron antineutrino, because that only conserve Le, L mu individually for this reaction. Okay. Now with this, if I give you any reaction, you can find out with this lepton number conservation what is the neutral particle there. I will give you an example later, but first try to grasp how the way particle, use your common sense to extract the symmetries in the particle world. Okay, so you are making a classification of particles which having 0 L and non-zero L. Okay, and you will later first by just this way of argument, and this way of argument doesn't require any your knowledge of quantum mechanics, classical mechanics, just common sense, just your how your brain is, how clear is your brain. It is that only is the requirement, how clearly you can think. You don't need any prerequisite other than this. Clear? Now just I make a statement and complete today's class. In this way, if you classify particles just by holding strict to the scheme of assigning lepton numbers, you will find that this will not only classify this most economic scheme will classify particles in such groups that each group has completely different kinds of interaction in them, because leptons undergo a specific kind of interactions that other particles we will study it in next class, baryons that have different kinds of interactions, which these interactions can be even what are the fundamental interactions in nature? That answer to that question we also get based on this exercise. Okay, this lepton number assignment. Okay, later we will see more how this is a very interesting subject. If you can feel the frequency. Okay. Experimental physics is also very, very interesting if you can feel the frequency, but it is difficult to feel the frequency by sitting on, by theoretically discussing experiments. Okay, that's why it looks, seems boring. If you feel experimental physics interesting by just not doing experiment, then you may have, then there is a problem with you. Okay, anyway. So I am done for today. Clear?
Okay, sir.
Let me stop the
Sir,
recording.